All right. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2021. Yes, this is Matt McCourt, bright and early on 2021. This is Life's Journey at 50. Appreciate you stopping by, taking a listen. Oh boy, I'm going to talk a little bit today. Just, quick look at what happened in 2020. Look forward to 2021 and beyond, and just give my perspective from where I sit. I'll take this music on out of here. And so as I was reflecting yesterday, I started a journal about 2 months ago, and supposed to do it daily, and you know how your life gets going, and then you start skipping some days here and there, but then I get caught up and kind of write some things and stuff like that, but so I was reflecting a little bit yesterday as I was writing in my journal, and kind of wrote a huge book in there for yesterday, and just looking back at 2020, right? And we all know how it was a complete, in a lot of ways, obviously a crappy year, right? I mean, COVID hits basically March, everything gets shut down, and it's just difficult, right? In a lot of different ways. But I look back and I started January with some optimism, right? I'm sitting here, but I think one of my first podcasts was about travel. And I went from American Airlines to Delta this year. So after 20 years of being with American Airlines, I go full on Delta. Great experience, by the way. Probably will never go back to American Airlines. And then March 18th rolls around, so my last flight, I fly home from San Francisco and haven't flown again. And here's a guy that flies over 100 flights a year. And I sit here and go, wow, will that ever come back? I don't know. Even my work is maybe this is another 3-6 months that we don't travel. It's been good for our bottom line because, there's no travel expenses. But at the same time, you lose that connection with customers and just that experience. And there's only so much you can really do. Zoom and Teams and you name it, video conferencing. I'm sure you've all faced it in your work life. If you haven't and you're still going into a place and you're working and having some social interaction somewhere, God bless you, because it drains on you sitting in front of a screen all day long, especially for someone that's normally, like I said, on 100 flights a year. You're kind of busy, you're up and going, and I can tell you that there's been days where it's just like I just want to take a hot needle and jam it in my eye, literally. So again, looking back at 2020, I mean, we have had to face this pandemic, and a lot of debates on it. It's been a crazy year, right? I mean, 2020, it like I said, started off with me doing that, and then I started a YouTube channel, and I have this podcast, and YouTube channel was trying to get it up and running. I've said my frustrations. I'm just not a very good video editor, and plus, if my channels are more around travel and stuff like that, it's hard to do the travel stuff when you're not traveling. So that puts a little damper on things. I try to do a few things here and there, but it is what it is. You can't really do a video when you don't have video of anything to do. And so the podcast has kind of been where I've been focusing on, which has been a great experience. I've got quite a few followers, and thank you very much for listening. But I get back, and again, 2020, crazy year. And I'm bouncing on a little bit all over the place, but let me go through, at least for me. So again, I did the American switch that busted out in March. had a boss for 3.5 years. I got a new one, and they couldn't be two different worlds, right? Sun, moon, sun and the moon type of thing, and which has been good because again, you learn different things with new people, and again, for a 53-year-old, I'm going to be 54 in 2021 here. It's the old teach an old dog new tricks, or at least re-engage, and I wouldn't even say re-engage. It's just you learn different things from different people, and so that's been good because it kind of just gets you fired up again and kind of get your blood flowing and juices rolling and stuff like that. But and again, different styles, and you just have to learn how to adapt and figure all that stuff out, which has been fun. I like that type of stuff. So I like a good challenge and everything. So, but yeah, so you got that going on, and then my son decided that college is just not for him, so he's headed off to the military. He leaves here in about a month or so. Early February, he's leaving for the Air Force. Big decision. That's going to impact me as well, just because he's been staying with me most of his life, and he's been kind of like my Gilligan, my little buddy type of thing, and as much as as a 19-year-old can be, especially from the ages of 16 through 19, I'm surprised I haven't drank myself to death. But and for you parents out there, that maybe 15, maybe 14 too. So, but yeah, so hopefully this will be a good life experience for him and put him on a path of where he wants to go and what he wants to do with his life. I think it's a great opportunity, and he's going to be serving our country, and that's a big deal. And so I'm a little nervous about that, which has impacted a lot of things over this course of 2020. My daughter's done fantastic. She has special needs. If you didn't know that, I'm sure you have if you listen to my podcast. And she's a big shout out to Hilton and B-Dubs because she's started working there, and that I commend those companies for hiring her. And I think that's fantastic. So that's been great. She's had a great, healthy year, thank God, because I've had COVID. My son's had COVID. We didn't get, I didn't experience a lot of the stuff that everybody else did. I mean, I did have 3 or 4 days where it beat the crap out of me. And it took me about 7 or so days to kind of get back to a little bit of normalcy. But I would tell you that compared to other people, and I did okay. And the pandemic is something, you can have your debates. You can, if you want to blame Trump, blame Trump. You can't blame him. You can't blame Fauci. You can't blame, World Health Organization or the CDC. They're all trying to do their best. I don't care who would have been president. I don't care who would have been in charge and all the other stuff. Nature versus nurture, and nature always wins. Always. And we've had pandemics, every 100 years or so, 75 to 150 years. There's always something that comes along and knocks us out. And it's just not us, folks. I mean, we can sit here and, oh, yeah, the United States, this. We've had, more people that died during World War II. Well, yeah, of course. I also look at stats, and, there's a lot of deaths, too, that it's impactful. Like, if you get COVID and you have other ailments, it does severely, hit you. But again, I look at nature versus nurture. And it is, not a great time. It's just not. I feel bad for the people that have, lost loved ones. Life is precious to begin with. The mask whole thing, it's been 9 months of the mask. It still's not working. So what's the deal? But at the end of the day, you be a good citizen, and you wear your mask and do your thing. And, it is what it is. Just, it's the old, just do it, man. It's common courtesy for everybody else. There's other people that get impacted, and you might not be affected like somebody else, but, it does have an impact. So, and we can all have that debate. We can all, and the other thing in 2020 that I really just got tired of is everybody just screams and hollers and at everyone and tries to shout everybody down. We've had the hashtag cancel culture. We've had all the rioting, all that stuff. Half of it, if you actually do the facts and check and actually do the research, which a lot of people don't, half of that stuff is garbage. It's more political than it is anything else. But it shapes and molds us. And it's just been a crazy year. The election process, I'm not a conspiracy theory type of guy. I did vote for Trump. You can hate me or love me or whatever you want. I did think he was the better candidate. I also believe that his demeanor sometimes was not the greatest, and that's the reason why he lost, because he lost a lot of the suburban moms, because he came across as a little too callous and too flim-flam on the COVID stuff. And I don't think he meant that way, but that's just him. That's who he is. That's his personality. He gets attacked all the time. I don't think Biden's the right person. I don't think Harris is the right person. I still believe, if you look at the numbers on the election stuff, I don't know. I mean, to me, it looks like there was a lot of voter fraud and a lot of stuff that went on. But at the end of the day, it's over. It's the Electoral College is putting Biden in office. Let's move on. I mean, the biggest thing for me is that our political parties need to stop shouting each other down and start working together. That's what I find in 2020. And that's what I think in 2021 and beyond. We need to get back to working with one another. Like I said, if you listen to my prior podcasts, I've talked about the Reagan years. I've talked about the Clinton years, where both sides were adamantly opposed to one another, but they weren't. They were willing to sit down and break bread with one another. This group we have in there now, they won't even talk to one another. It's childish, and it's affecting all of us. I mean, it's just like the latest stimulus package. They're talking about $600, then Trump wanted to give them $2,000. Now McConnell's not doing it. Well, yeah, I don't mind. How about every household? Regardless of what you made, because I'm in a bracket where I'm not getting a stimulus check, so I'm paying for stimulus checks through my taxes. And I'm fortunate enough to do that, right? Because I do make, do okay for myself. So, but the thing of it is, we're sending more money overseas to other countries than we are to taking care of our own people. I find that extremely. Hell, we could give each household, regardless if you paid the taxes, didn't pay taxes, make whatever you made, blah blah blah, anything like that. We could give each house $10,000. And it wouldn't even put a dent into what we're sending overseas. If every tax filer got $10,000 back, we wouldn't even touch what was going overseas and what we're giving away in the latest stimulus round. That's criminal. It's criminal. The money should be going to us, the United States. So, I'm not going to get on that tangent right now, but that's how I feel. That's how 2020 has shaped up, man. It's like, come on, folks. So I look back at 2020 and I sit there and go, God, we've got, all these things going on. It's like a ticking time bomb. But yet at the flip side of it, we've been forced to reevaluate our lives and to reevaluate the time that we spend with people and the precious amount that life is precious and that we should be thinking about that stuff more. Yet we want to fight with one another over black, white, this person has this person has that, and all these things. It doesn't mean anything. It's all political BS. We're dividing ourselves with one another so bad, and then you throw in the social distancing. You can't even be around one another. I mean, hell, I walk every single day, and you can't even walk on the sidewalk with someone without them either trying to walk out into the street or jump in somebody's front yard, and it's almost like everybody has the cooties. Well, to a certain degree, I guess we do with the COVID-19, but my God, the sidewalks, some of the sidewalks I walk on are 5-6 feet wide. I'm not that fat. I'm a big boy, but I'm not that, don't take up that, but you don't have to walk into somebody's yard or out into the street. And I look at people like they're nuts. You're outside. We're walking by. We don't even spend, and we're not even within arm's length of one another. And you're like jumping out 20 feet away from somebody. It's ridiculous. We're training ourselves to not even want to engage with people. I'm sorry, folks, but the humans in general want physical contact. They want to be around people. We all want to be around people. Maybe some shouldn't be around people, but that's a different discussion. But, in our nature, we want to be around people. We want to interact. We want to have that connection. It's just like I talked about, I've had enough of these Zoom team calls for 2020. And my God, it's going to continue in 2021. And who knows? It might be like this for going forward. I mean, our company saved a ton of money on travel and stuff. We're being told again not to travel for the most part for the first half of the year. You know how that impacts? I mean, it's hard to have a good, solid relationship with clients when you don't even get a chance to, interact with them. I mean, you don't get to see what goes on in the daily operation and how they engage and what they're really, you get them for a half hour on a call and then you're on, you're off, and you're off. Like when you're at their place, you get that interaction. You get to see behind the scenes networking. You get to talk to other people in the building and kind of see what their needs are and kind of, again, it's a trust factor. It's working with one another. This social stuff is like, how is that going to impact people going forward? I think it has had severe, issues on the psychology of people, the psyche of people. And you're seeing that, all this sheltering in place. I mean, look at, domestic violence, look at the psychological implications of it, and I get it. I get it while we're doing some of this stuff, but my God, 9 months of the mask and it hasn't worked. And again, I say nature versus nurture. Nature's going to win. It always does. And yeah, you can say I'm callous or whatever, but at the end of the day, nature always wins. It always has. And so 2020, so think about all that stuff. And just me personally, and think about your life and what happened in 2020. And then, to me, 2020 also the good thing, like you spent time with your family and reflected. Like, I mean, I probably wouldn't have never found some of the things that, I've been interested. I think I've went through everything on Netflix and Apple TV, and I'm done. So I bought a motorcycle. So yeah, part of me is, kind of my next journey in life. And, I get harassed all the time. Oh, it's a midlife crisis. It's not a midlife crisis. It is, I want to live life. I need to get out. I need to be able to experience some life. And this is my outlet, I think. 2020 as a single person was tough too. Dated a few people, didn't pan out, but different reasons or whatever. Sometimes I even look at myself. I'm could be a little bit stubborn in some ways, and at least I've been told that. But I just, 2020 has been tough on the dating scene, and I don't think 2021 is going to be any better. And I don't know whether it's because I'm picky or stubborn or whatever it is, but when you know, and we'll see where that goes. And I know that's affected other people. I've talked to other people about this and stuff like that. It's not been fun if you're single in this environment. So yeah, like I said, 2020 has been just a little bit of a cluster. You know what? Proverbial crap show, shit show. I'll say it. And, but there's a lot to look forward to. If you're healthy, if your family's still here, that's a good thing. If you've battled COVID, like I said, I have, my son has, and you made it through it, that's a good thing. And like I said, I bought the motorcycle. I plan on doing some traveling. I'm going to miss my son. He's going to go to the Air Force. And so I'm going to do my thing in 2021. So, yeah, so I look back at 2020. There's always good and bad, and you just have to kind of pick apart that, right? You can say, oh, yeah, it was a bad, again, you can say it's a bad year. You can say COVID. You can say all these things, but a lot of flip the side. You can look at the positive side of life and say there's been a lot of good things out of it too. If you really look back and reflect on yourself and the things that you've made changes. I mean, hell, I've made changes in I've lost quite a bit of weight over the last 2 years since February of 2019. And it's been good for me. I continue that journey. It's a battle. I love my food. And not so much the drink. It's just I love my food. And then I stress eat. So between my son, my daughter, and, and then you sit at home and, you could put on the COVID-19 if you really wanted to, but, I try to watch that and try to stay healthy, try to close my rings on my Apple Watch. I've talked about that. And so, yeah, you subconsciously have to, take care of yourself and all this other stuff. And that's what I say, looking in 2021, for me, my goals in 2021 are to stay again, obviously you've got your job and stuff like that. And, you stay laser focused on that and you try to, do the best you possibly can and try to take care of your clients, try to take care of what you need to do. But outside of that, then, it's about, you and your family and what are you going to, what you're planning on. For me, it's going to be doing some traveling on the motorcycle on the weekends and the times that I take off from work. I'm going to try to, do a little bit more self-reflecting this year. Maybe I will meet someone, maybe I won't, who knows? And so 2020, going into this next decade, into the roaring 20s, what are we going to look like, right? Because you still got COVID around. It's going to impact the way people have been shopping. It's going to impact the way you interact with people. When will we ever get back to whatever normal is going to be? Normal is very subjective. Will we ever be able to go back in the stadiums and stuff like that? I mean, is the shape of professional sports going to be different? I'm sure that if this continues for another year, there are going to be teams that will probably fold or franchises on the brink. What does our government look like? What does society look like? Do we get back to some sense of civility with one another instead of constantly attacking one another, all because we didn't agree with someone? My God, we're allowed to disagree, but now you're being like, if you disagree with someone and you're on the wrong side of the fence with that disagreement, you get blown up on social media. It's basically like a scarlet letter on you. I've got friends, they know that I voted for Trump, and it's like I'm some evil person. I'm not an evil person. I want to think that I'm reasonable. My viewpoints of America and who we are as a country just varies, and it's different. I believe in some personal responsibility. I believe that, people should take responsibility for their actions, right? You just can't look at the government to hand you everything. Got to work for it. I don't think this generation is willing to do that. And I think there's a lot of people that are fueling that fire. We've seen what socialism has done across the globe over centuries. It's not good. So it's going to be interesting to see how, things play out in with its Biden administration. I still believe that there was something funky that went on. It is what it is. I'm not going to be here and be conspiracy theory because there's a lot of it out there. But something happened during this election. It's awfully funny that the states that went to Biden, all of a sudden they were up for Trump. At one point, everything was shut down. Then the next morning, everything flipped. It's too coincidental for me. Plus, you just look at all the counties, all the things, and you do all the math, and you look at it. And if you were really objectively looking at it, you would sit there and say something was funky. But the media has glossed over it. They want to get Trump out of there. And they want things to go back the way they were. Even Mitch McConnell wants to, for the most part. They're all a bunch of crooks. I don't care what side of the fence. They're all a bunch of crooks. They all a bunch of liars. And until we the people realize that we have a bunch of crooks in there, again, I think I brought this up, but like the latest stimulus round, right? $600. I mean, we're sending all this money overseas, billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars, and hell, we could give each household $10,000 and wouldn't even add up to, and that's including the taxpayers that, quote unquote, aren't on the stimulus program, like myself. And I just find that money that we collect should be going to the United States people, the U.S. people that really need it. There are families that are very, very in need. And we need to figure that stuff out. The economy, the job landscape's changing. We're having our industrial revolution now, right, into a tech revolution. And, people need to figure that out. That's one of the reasons why, like I said, I started this YouTube channel and podcasting just so I can learn something new, different. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting times going forward. Interesting times going forward. So, again, I wanted to say, Happy New Year. I wanted to reflect a little bit on 2020, kind of all the things that have gone on. I'm sure that you've had your life struggles or life's ups and downs this past year and made you stop and think about what's important. I've seen tons of pictures on my Facebook from friends spending a lot of time with their loved ones, their significant others, their kids, really embracing all that stuff. And I think that's fantastic. So as I look forward to 2021, it continues the modification of how we go forward to, reflect on our own lives, reflect on the people around us, how we impact things. And then we start to embrace what the new norm is and try to figure out the path. But at the end of the day for 2021, I would ask you to be kind to one another, respect one another. You can do that even if you disagree wholeheartedly on something, but you can still be respectful and to each other. Don't have to get into shout me down, because that just, I think that this causes a lot of ill will that we don't need. And we need to come together and heal and be better to one another. So take that for what you want. I wish you the best in 2021. I will have more. I'm going to do a little bit of a tech review on the next one and, kind of do some stuff that, I think will be, give you a little bit of flashback on tech. And then some of my new content for next year will focus around my travels with my motorcycle. I will pick that up about mid-January. And I think it's going to be fun to engage and kind of do some stuff. I'm still going to do some tech. Tech gets really expensive, as you know it. And since I'm not a huge YouTuber and I don't have a lot of sponsors, not a lot of money comes in on the tech side of it. So but I will keep you up to date on what I do know and what's going on out in the marketplace. So at least you can get a little bit from me. But most of 2021 is going to focus on travel and just experiencing some life stuff. So again, thanks for stopping by. I'm your host, Matt McCourt. This is Life's Journey at 50. You can catch me on Podbean, Apple, Spotify, Google, and Amazon. And again, to you, your family, and friends, 2021. Let's make it a better year for everybody. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.